Welcome to the Painted Peach. Today I'm going to show you how to make these beautiful faux cinnamon rolls that look good enough to eat. Let's get started. We'll just make some of these. You can see from the bottom it's just clay, but it looks good enough to eat. And so we're going to make one of those now. Where is, I'm going to turn this over and get our clay back out. So it is just made with foam clay also. Going to Starbucks soon. I need some more coffee myself. Mine's sitting over here cold. And my hands are pretty dirty, but we're just going with it. We're gonna be making that thing look dirty anyway, right? It does look good enough to eat. My son was like, ooh, can I eat that? All right, let's close that up. Work this up a little bit. You just want to make sure you stretch it and get it nice and worked before you go with it. Now I'm telling y'all I'm going to make this, and then I'll probably get here and won't be able to make it like I did last time. The whole live thing, you know. This is, it's in my chain link if you go on there, but it's from Amazon. It's Faux Foam Clay. This is a 17.6 ounce bag. And what this stuff actually was created for in the beginning was slime making, because, you know, the slime making was really popular for a long time. And the kids loved it, and that's when they came out with this. It was for making slime. They have a spiced apple cider that's heaven. Alright, so we got this nice and worked. You want to make sure you don't have any yuckiness on here. We're just going to do the same thing. We're going to make a little log. Roll it out. I just use my hands. I don't really use tools when I'm making the faux foods like this. If you're making more of the cutesy stuff, you can use tools and cookie cutters, but there's stuff getting all in my clay. But when you're making this stuff, it's kind of better to have all the imperfections. To me, anyway. Alright, so I don't have a big board, so I'm just going to start flattening out this end. It's getting it pretty flat. Not too flat, because you want your cinnamon bun to have some substance. This one might end up being a little bigger than the other. I'm just going to go ahead and start rolling. So with cinnamon buns, you want to have that little bit of a lift at the top, right? So you want to make sure you get that in there when you roll. And you're just going to roll, roll, roll. And I'm going to flatten out some more. If you had a big cutting board in front of you, you could just do it all at once. Did you? I'd love to see that, Carol. I want to make all kinds of things now. This one's going to end up being a little bigger. If you want to stop there, you just pull off your clay. And that's where your cinnamon roll will end. And right now it looks silly. It doesn't look like the real thing, right? You want to put your fingers on it a little bit, give some little indentions and imperfections, because it's going to look more realistic if it has that. You don't want a fingernail mark in there, but you just make some little imperfection. I'm going to put this back. I always have a piece about this size when I do this. Got a little bit of time left to be able to show you how I did the coloring. So only thing I put on this is coffee grunge, coffee grounds, with a little bit of Mod Podge. So we're just gonna take, let me go ahead and get this under it, because I don't want it to stick to this board. This one's a little fatter than the other one I made. Yeah, it does, right? So you just kind of brush on your coffee grunge. Now, if you don't have coffee grunge or you don't know how to make it, Tracy over at My At Home Living, is that what it's called? I always mess her name up. She has a recipe on her page for the coffee grunge. I think she's the first person I ever seen do it. I don't know if she's the inventor of it or what, but that is where I got my recipe from. And I just keep it in this jar in the refrigerator. This one's been in there a good bit and it hasn't gone bad or anything. It still smells just as good, but it can go bad if you don't put it in the refrigerator. So you can see how the coffee has gone into the crevices. That's what you want because it's going to give a darker color in there, and the more you put on there, the darker it's going to be. So if you did a layer right now and you let it dry and you go over it again, you're going to get that darker color. Now while it's still wet, I'm going to add a little bit of pumpkin spice, regular old pumpkin spice from the grocery store. I'm going to put some right here and just pick it up. I'm going to just sprinkle that on there. You can use cinnamon. I chose to use pumpkin spice today because that's what we're doing, right? The cinnamon is just a little darker, but the coffee is going to make it dark anyway. Thanks, Nora. This is just something a little different than what I normally do. A little fun, you know. So it's already looking good enough to eat, right? You can see this one is dry and it's a little darker. So when it's dry, you can put some little bit of Mod Podge in here. Here, I'll do it right now while it's wet. It's fine. See if I can dry it quickly. We got a few minutes left, so I want to show y'all this part. I don't recommend using your dryer though. Let it dry on its own. I'm gonna get this little paintbrush here, and we're going to, I gotta stop saying gonna. We're going to put some Mod Podge in these little cracks. And that's where we're going to put our coffee grounds. Just to give a little bit more of a dark color. Now, you guys make sure you go over and see Melanie with Paint and Crafty. She'll be in the Take 5 group, and she should be probably getting on there pretty soon. We start a little bit early just so we can make sure we're in there and everything. So just go over and watch her when I get done. We'll finish up our pie tomorrow in another event I'm in and see how it turns out. So this is just coffee grounds. You can use instant coffee. This is just regular coffee grounds, y'all. The instant coffee kind of melts a little more, so I do suggest using that, but I ran out of instant coffee because I made my coffee grunge and I haven't gone back to get any more. So you're just gonna sprinkle it right onto that Mod Podge, and with the instant coffee it starts melting and it looks really, really good. This takes a little bit longer and a little bit more effort to melt. And then I'm just gonna put a little bit more cinnamon, or not cinnamon, pumpkin spice today. Usually it would be cinnamon in there. I'm gonna add a little bit of heat to it. The heat's just gonna help it melt in there with that Mod Podge. And you would be doing this when it's completely dry so that your foam clay doesn't get affected by the heat. I'm just gonna touch it, push it down in there. And the Mod Podge is still wet right now, but it will look much better once it dries. So there is that. Here is one that is completely done. So you can tell one's bigger than the other, and this one's not dry. And this one, I went over it again once this is dry. You can go over it again with the coffee grunge and darken it up so it looks like that. So that's what I have for you guys today. Make sure you go over and watch Melanie. we'll do our pie, the rest of our pies tomorrow. Sorry, my nose itches. I'll show you this little display again with the little mini pie that I did with the spackle. I may do like a little short video of that. Here's some, this is salt dough, and I made a whole cake with that. I'll show you that real quick before we leave. So this is my salt dough cake, and it is made with coffee grunge and cinnamon, all that stuff too, and I just change it out. You can change the little berries for pumpkins right now, and it will be just as cute sitting out for the fall, and then you can just switch it up for Christmas. I was like, what's the next holiday? So that's what I got for y'all. Go on over and see Melanie, and thanks for joining me, and I'll post pictures of all this in a little bit. I really enjoyed baking with y'all today, faux baking, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.
Thanks for joining. I hope that you learned how to make yourself some faux cinnamon rolls, and if you have any questions, you can always put them in the comments. Thanks for watching.